is your source for all the news and information following every Patriots game.
And the Patriots have won their 6th Super Bowl title. In the early 2000s, they won 3 of 4. Now they have won 3 of the last 5. Yes, it's still a dynasty.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email this show at webradio@patriots.com.
I hope y'all keep that same energy for tonight, baby. Can't wait.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
Slipping and sliding, he was like a cat. Pop, pop, bang. Now the Patriots fall to the Colts in Indianapolis tonight, 27-17 the final. It's the Patriots Postgame show brought to you by Cyber Reason, official defenders of the New England Patriots. Hardy, Mike Dussault, Paul Perillo here. Taking your calls, 855-PATS-500. Emails, webradio@patriots.com. Deuce, your initial thoughts after the game. What do you got?
Very sloppy start. I think that was what was most jarring to me. You knew the Colts prey off of turnovers. They came out. Gunner had a fumble. He fumbled it out. Mack with the interceptions. They kind of bookended the halftime with those 2 turnovers there. Credit to Indy. They came out. They played hard. They dominated both sides of the ball. And I do like the little bit of fight the Patriots showed down the end, but in the end it just wasn't enough.
Certainly not enough at the end, but they did show some fight there toward the end of the game, and maybe fight is the wrong word. I think offensively they finally got a few things to click.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of what Mike said. I just think that they kind of reverted to the team that we saw in the first half of the season tonight with the penalties, the turnovers, the block punt, third one of the season. Just overall sloppiness. They kind of made it easy. I do think they did some things reasonably well tonight, but and I'm sure we'll hear from Bill Belichick later, not nearly enough and not nearly consistent enough. Even the things they did well, and I would agree, I don't ever expect the Patriots to roll over and die.
Right.
And they didn't roll over and die even 20-0. That to me is not even on the table. Like the Patriots sort of, capacity to fight, that's not in question. It hasn't been in question really since 2001. Sure. They haven't had a team that I think has just been a bunch of quitters ever. So that's a given to me, but everything else tonight just wasn't good enough. And I think we're going to spend a lot of time on a bad list tonight.
Yeah, we are, but I got to say, for as good as you can feel about, a game where they played as poorly as they did, a game that they ended up losing, I feel oddly okay just because of the way they were able to turn things around a little bit offensively at the end, and the defense was able to make a couple of plays. It wasn't a complete embarrassment. It wasn't a disaster. It was kind of that humbling game that I thought maybe this team could get some benefit from, and also puts them in a position to where now that game against Buffalo next week, I still think Buffalo is a better football team than the Colts. They're going to be here at Gillette Stadium a week from tomorrow. You get that win, and you right the ship that way. You still got a few games. You've still got the postseason to look forward to here, hopefully, and put yourself in a position to where you're not thinking about rattling off an 11-game win streak to end the season. That's done with now, okay?
You got your wish.
Now, a little bit. I did.
I'm glad that he said it, so you don't have to argue with me, because I know you'd yell at me if I said it.
I didn't think they were going to run the table.
I didn't either, but that doesn't mean I was hoping that they wouldn't. And I know you weren't hoping that they would. Don't take that literally. I mean, your feeling was they needed to lose a game, like for their betterment, kind of. Is that right? Is that accurate? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
I needed to lose you to love you.
They needed.
Yeah.
I needed to lose you. Sorry.
I think they needed a bit of a reality check. You
get me.
I think they needed a reality check in that it's like, you know what? If we play our game, even if we don't play 100%, we're just going to play, that much harder. And between coaching and a solid defense, and you know what? Sometimes the games don't go your way. It is not okay to go out there and play as poorly as you did for as much as you did and think that you can still win, because they've had a couple of games where certain aspects, whether it was offensively, almost exclusively offensively, they didn't really have it going. and they ended up with wins anyway. Yeah. So now you saw it tonight against a team that's not fantastic, but it's a good enough football team whose also offense didn't do much tonight. Carson Wentz certainly didn't do much tonight. It was one guy who went out there and really...
Carson Wentz almost got the Patriots back in the game, and that's why even I'm not really here much for a lot of the positives that we're going to talk about here, because I think there are a lot of sort of like we're trying to talk ourselves into. I will say this, in terms of like individual play kind of stuff. The last touchdown pass that Mac threw to Hunter Henry might be the best throw that Mac Jones made all year.
Yeah.
That was a phenomenal throw into a very tight window.
Yep. So there were enough of those.
Said, he didn't really do anything else.
No, enough of those moments at the end. It's all right. Not a complete embarrassment. This team is not, complete fool's gold. Nope. They played poorly. They found some stuff at the end, and they got a good dose of reality shoved in their face tonight, which good teams will learn from and benefit from for the rest of the way. Let's get to our good, the bad, and the training room list here.
Now it's time for the good.
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
The bad.
If you were in my toilet bowl, I wouldn't bother flushing it.
And the training room.
You want a back rub?
Presented by Theragun.
Good, the bad, in the training room. It's Hardy Dussault and Paul Perillo bringing you the very short good list tonight for the Patriots. Deuce, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, I gotta lead off with Hunter Henry. I mean, 2 touchdowns, 6 for 77. He was their best player tonight. And
I had Hunter Henry
zone.
also, absolutely.
Yeah, that's I think it's an easy one, but great player seen there. Nice catch in the end zone. Paul mentioned the second one, real nice throw from Mac, and I think Hunter Henry's
just watch this. You have okay, that's the first one, not the second one. The second one was the one I just thought was phenomenal on Mac's part. But I agree with you, Mike.
Fingertip rifled it in there. He's been consistent. I mean, obviously the last couple games a little quiet, but coming back on, and I mean, he continues to have a really solid season here in his first year.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a lull, and I'm not talking about last week when the passing game wasn't part of it, but tonight I know a lot of people, you guys talked in the pregame about the Colts having some struggles with tight ends. I don't really think that was overly evident tonight. I think that the Colts defense dominated this game and gave up a couple of by the way drives at the end when I think they were playing the time. They were playing the score and the time. That throw though, like I don't care what the time of the game is.
This is the shot right here.
Like this is that's a special throw. He puts it right on and just as a point of comparison, I thought Carson Wentz had the chance to do that a couple of times, put it on the right side or the left side of a receiver, and consistently was putting it on the wrong side and allowing passes to get tipped, and he finally got burned with one of them in the fourth quarter. But I agree with Mike. Hunter Henry was by far and away, I think, the most productive Patriot tonight.
Yep. And in terms of that last throw, Paul, the one that we're just looking at again here, it's what we said about Brady so many times. He put it where only his guy was going to be able to catch it. There's only one guy who could catch that ball. Henry made the catch there, and it was just
when that ball left Mac Jones's hands, I'll guarantee you Darius Leonard thought he had another pick.
Yeah, without question. All right, who's your first and maybe only good list? We all have Henry, so we all have one.
I got to be honest with you. I don't have any individuals from here on in. I have some things that I saw that I will mention, and I'll start with one of them. Okay, so you go in at halftime, you're down 17-0, and then your quarterback throws a pick, and they run it back to the 20-yard line. Your defense comes out, stops them 3 and out, forces a field goal. I thought that was incredible toughness on the part of the defense. I thought that set the tone defensively for the way they played the majority of the second half. The last 2 drives, I would say, kind of spoiled that a little bit. But I thought that to come out and get a 3 and out on the 20-yard line, I thought was fantastic toughness by the defense. So I had that on my good list.
Yeah, that's good. I put Nick Folk on there.
Well, let's just keep him there. On this kind of game.
Just one for one.
I'm not sure why they had him kick that one at the end. We'll get to that part.
We're going to get to. We're going to
kicked it.
He kicked it, and he made the
program.
Upcoming.
Had a couple of chances there, and he did what he had to do. Nick Folk on the good list.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I might just put D-Mac on there just for the interception. I thought that was a good play. I thought he, kind of rallied the troops a little bit. I know I'm grasping at straws a little bit with that, but I thought
he might show up later on a particularly important run late in the game.
Well, yeah, I would love to put the secondary, in terms of we look at Carson Wentz and his numbers on the night. It's like, wow, maybe, the secondary was just all over these guys in coverage. But even if that were the case, they had a couple of missed opportunities at interceptions before the ones that they actually had.
Well, I think that Carson Wentz had lots of opportunities at open receivers that he missed.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what's maddening. Just like as I'm going through it and looking at the stats, and I think I said it during the game, was like they did to the Patriots what the Patriots usually do. And you look at the stats, and it's the same kind of thing. We're like, wow, Mac. I mean, Carson Wentz 5 of 12 for 57 yards. Like, you can easily see yourself. Wow, you can see yourself. Damian Harris doing that ceiling run at the end. I mean, it's just the turnovers, the block punt. I mean, all that stuff that always the Patriots do. And we knew coming in these were similar teams. I think the Colts out-Patriots the Patriots tonight.
All right. Any other goods? I mean, individually, I don't think we're going to have any. Were there
I got nothing, but I'm sure maybe Paul has.
I wrote down just the red zone defense in general. In the second half, I think they came up with 2 stops down there. Like I said, I mean, I don't want to gush too much because of the way the game ended, and to me, it's the last 2 drives, not just the big run. The last 2 possessions for the Colts were very successful drives by the Colts. So that's it for me for the good. I don't know what else you guys have.
Nothing.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Nothing, honey.
All right.
See, that's a throw right there that J.C. Jackson almost picks off. We just showed a highlight clip. He has Pittman running to the sideline on an out pattern. He's wide open. But the throw comes way to the inside, and it allows Jackson to come and almost pick the pass off. But this should have been an easy completion for Wentz. For whatever reason, he was dropping down, throwing all kinds of sidearm throws tonight. But I mean that play, you watch and see. This is NFL open right here, and the throw comes to the wrong side. That throw needs to come to the outside, and he's got the ball down to the 5-yard line. That's a terrible, terrible throw by Carson. Look at how far behind that is.
Bad mechanics.
Really, I just think he was like Mahomes a little bit tonight with the sidearm stuff for no reason. But anyway.
Yeah.
All right, let's get on to the bad list. Wow. I mean, where do you? I just got
lengthy.
You know what? You don't.
Go ahead, Mike. You can kick us off.
If you want to start with like the most obvious one, I'm going to go chronologically throughout the game, probably. But
do you want to start us off? If you got something
go
chronological?
ahead. You got something
to cue it up.
Isaiah Wynn, because I just saw another highlight package going on another monitor here. I mean, there were multiple missed blocks. There was the one where he missed, and then he turned around and ran into his own back. I mean, it would have been comical if it weren't so detrimental to the start that the Patriots had, or lack of any kind of an offensive start. I thought Isaiah Wynn had a really rough night.
Yeah, individually he would be at or near the top of my list.
Yep.
Yeah, and again, they found something toward the end of the game, and that includes the offensive line. They weren't bringing as much pressure, but let's face it, there were times when the line looked bad early on in the game where they weren't sending the house. They were rushing 4, and you should be able to hold your own more often than not, and that wasn't the case. So they found a little something toward the end, but I thought Isaiah Wynn had a particularly bad night.
Yeah. I'm going to hop around here a little bit, but I got to go with the block punt, the punt team. It's the third one this year, most in the NFL.
Yep. Jakob Johnson seemed like he was the guy most responsible for that play.
That was, I think, the moment you realized, these guys, this is what they do, and you realized it was going in their direction early.
That's when it went from a slow start to a disaster.
Exactly.
On that play.
And I think just overall, I think the performance of the punt team has been a little spotty this year to begin with. And I believe, I might be wrong, but I think they had another one almost blocked too. Maybe I'm misremembering that, but just a huge play. And special teams, usually Patriots is what you count on, full team effort, winning in all 3 phases, and that was points on the board the first quarter with the punt team. Just you can't let it happen.
Yep. Kevin in Burlington agreeing with us on that. Can we finally close the book on this waste of a first-round pick? We're not going that far. He said, I get it. He occasionally run blocks well, but mix that in with all of his penalty calls and missed blocks, and you got to start wondering if he's going to get Mac hurt.
He tackled well tonight. Fortunately, he got Ramondre Stevenson in the backfield. He was bad. I'm like, listen, this is what we do. Like, when they win, we tell you how great they are, right?
Yeah.
He was really bad in this game. I thought he was most responsible for the offense being out of sync early in the game because he was constantly allowing pressure. That running play was almost comical. He missed his block so badly, he turned around to try to chase the guy, and then ended up knocking Ramondre Stevenson over for a loss.
Right.
Like, he was really bad.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have that play. And now the offensive line as a whole was really bad, but Wynn was the worst.
All right, Paul, what do you got?
I had just
did you already say Jakob Johnson, or did you
No,
already go?
Mike mentioned the punt block. That was his, and I said
okay.
Jakob Johnson.
Yeah.
The penalties were killers tonight, and it was throughout the game. Now, this was one of the rare games that all the penalties were on the Patriots. There were very few, if any. Was there one? Two on the Colts. This was like on the first offensive series, I think they got 2 penalties. Then they had, I mean, just think about some of the penalties that happened during the course of the game. They get a false start, Michael Onwenu, on 3rd and goal from like the 2, right? In the fourth quarter. I think that was the drive that they ended up kicking the field goal instead of going to the touchdown. They had a missed field goal, Michael Badgley, offside, moves it 5 yards closer. He hits the second one. Just like really dumb penalties, really dumb stuff. Again, another example, as Mike said, I love the phrase, the Colts out-Patriot. You know, how did you put it? The Colts
out-Patriots the Patriots?
Yeah. The Colts did what the Patriots do. They made the other team make mistakes. They didn't do anything. They just waited for the Patriots to make mistakes, and unfortunately, the Patriots made them all night.
Yep, I had special teams down there, and that offside on the field goal was just indicative of the entire night.
The penalties as a whole were 8 for 50 yards.
Yeah, and that was that the Brandon King jump? That was the field
Brandon
goal, right?
King is the one who went offside. Onwenu is the one who was the false start on just a routine play that all teams do. The heavy adjustment of the defensive line on a goal-to-go situation. Defense has nothing to lose down there. If it's offside on the defense, you're moving the ball a half a yard. Whereas the offense, you go from 3rd and goal from the 1 to 3rd and goal from the 6. That's a big difference.
Yeah, a couple other to mention. Mac delay a game. That was one.
Well, that's what I have.
81 false start.
And to kind of I guess not to pile on Mac, but I have Mac Jones on the list too.
Oh, Mac Jones is heavily on the bad list in this game.
Although he played well at the end. The penalty thing, you put that under one umbrella, but you also put it in the bullet point under Mac Jones. The delay of game, which was on him, even on some of the completions he made early, he was throwing behind guys. He was throwing guys into really dangerous coverage situations, and he wasn't making good decisions.
Look at this. These are all throws that ended up being incomplete passes. You can see just how many people for the Colts. I mean, this is an easy pick, just dropped.
The second pick
he was bad in this game.
The second pick that he threw tonight was maybe his worst decision of the night. It was just, what you saw it happening before he threw the ball. It was one of those split-second things. Sure, easy for you to say. I'm not talking slow-mo after the fact. I'm talking about as he was throwing that ball, I said, oh, my God. But that's going to be undercut, and it was.
The sprint out to the right, jump pass back to the left that he completes on a 3rd down, I hated. Like, I didn't like really any. That last throw to Hunter, the last throw to Hunter Henry was maybe his best throw of the season. Other than that, I didn't like anything that he did tonight. And I know there's going to be a lot of attention. Well, he didn't win it, but he showed you he could. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Yeah. He was flustered in the first drive of the 3rd quarter when he was not good in this game tonight. But I'm not telling you that's a referendum on the rest of his life.
No, but
a lot of other people will.
This is why
he had a bad game tonight.
I kind of oddly wanted something like this and felt this is what they needed, because for everyone saying that this team is a Super Bowl contender, watch the offense for the first 3 quarters of that game and tell me that was a Super Bowl contending team.
No
chance.
Offense was great in the 4th quarter.
No chance.
No, everything felt effort, a lot of effort, everything. And that's why I the Colts, it wasn't necessarily pretty except for a few things, but you could just tell right from the get-go that they were playing with more energy. They were fired up. They wanted this game. The fans were behind them. And, it's just one of those things, and I think I might have said it about the Patriots against the Browns, where it's like it just jumps off the screen. You watch, you can see what team came to play today. And today it was the Colts that came to play. And I agree about the offense. It's just as much as even when they're moving the ball, it's like
right. Everything's
a grind.
And 6 for 15 on 3rd down, 1 for 3 on 4th down, 2 for 4 in the red zone. They didn't do anything well offensively tonight until the game was over. Like let's treat the Patriots like we treat the Patriots' opponents. right? When they do stuff in garbage time, let's call it for what it is. Garbage time.
Garbage time, yeah. And I'm not saying they can't contend. I'm not saying that, this firmly puts them out of any. No, of course not. Yeah, because it's like we were talking about in the pregame. There is no clear-cut dominant force in either conference this year, or anyone that's saying, well, all right, now that's the team. So a lot can still happen. But I think it's important for the Patriots to know and to experience firsthand that you can't play like that and expect to be considered and even think of yourselves as being ready to take it to that next level, because as poorly as you played, you got beat by a team whose quarterback went 5 of 12.
Their quarterback did everything he could to keep you in the game,
yes.
which is the only reason why you only lost by 10, by the way.
Right.
Because if they had any kind of passing game tonight, and the plays were there. I mean, the very first possession of the game, they had Michael Pittman for a long play, at the very least, like a 50-yard play.
Yes.
I don't know if it would have been a touchdown. McCourty was coming over, probably would have knocked him out of bounds. But that's an easy throw. He's 4 yards behind J.C. Jackson, who, for that play I had initially down, I thought he got beat a couple of times tonight and really didn't pay for it because Wentz just sucked.
Yeah. It's a wake-up call for the offense, for the defense, for the coaching staff, for a coaching staff that we often laud as being now Bill Belichick is not going to let the one guy beat you. He let the one guy beat you tonight.
Yeah,
and it's
and I'd also just put in that they made a ton of mistakes and that they weren't really ready to go. They were not clearly fired up and ready to counter the energy that Indianapolis came into. And
I agree with you, Mike. I just don't think they brought the same intensity to start the game that Indianapolis did. They eventually got there, but it was too late.
Yep.
I agree, Mike. I think that's a great point. They weren't ready to go.
Well, Kyle Duggar was intense when he was ripping helmets off and getting in fights. So
like I said, they got there eventually, but there was too much of this early in the game. I mean, this is nothing. Just Jonathan Taylor just carrying bodies.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, we made a lot. We made a lot out of Buffalo. You knew they were going to run it. They couldn't stop it. Yeah, well, 29 for 170.
Yeah.
Take
away the 67-yarder for the touchdown at the end, and still
it's 28 for 100.
28 for 103.
When all they were doing was running the ball every play of the fourth quarter.
Right. Yep. So
you knew it was coming, and you couldn't stop it.
Learn from it.
And like I said, the drive before listen.
Yeah, can I set you up for that?
Yeah, I'm just going to say the long touchdown, those happen. Just like the Damian Harris one last week. They happen. Go ahead.
I was going to set you up for it because can I jump in on the field goal? Can I put the field goal on the down list, the Patriots field goal?
Oh,
I don't know if we're ready yet, but it leads into what Paul was saying, and I'm not somebody who kills about the aggressive and the analytics and fourth down going for it, but I don't really understand the decision because you're at the Indianapolis 7. Fourth down. If you're down by 13 points, you need 2 scores. So if you don't get it, they're taking right over right then at the 7. You still need 2 scores. You kick the field goal, you still need 2 scores. What is the difference with that 3 points that maybe you could have gotten on that second possession at the end? You might have kicked a field goal to tie. Go for the touchdown.
And I agree with Mike. And I would also add to that, Mike. How do you feel? What do you feel better about? 1st and 10 from the 25, getting a 3-and-out, or 1st and 10 from the 7 and getting a 3-and-out? What do you think is harder?
Yeah. And I don't know how much time goes off when you kick it off either, but, you're
well, none. It would have been a touchback, assuming a touchback. Still. That's why I put the ball on the 25. I didn't like the decision. I didn't hate it. Like Mike says, I'm not sitting here telling you, that cost them it didn't cost them the game. I just thought it set. I think Bill is more than willing oftentimes to allow those situations to unfold in which they have to go absolutely perfectly. Like a sequence of literally 15 or 20 plays have to all go exactly the way the Patriots want them for you to have a chance. And in that situation, you needed the 3-and-out. Well, they ended up cranking out 2 first downs and taking out over 5 minutes off the clock.
Yeah.
And that was what
that was game.
Yep.
That's why I'm not going to sit here and tell you, the game was over then. Now it's well, sure, if you get an onside kick or if they fumble or something funny happens, you can still win, but it's not going to happen.
12 carries on 12 yards on the first carry on that drive.
Right.
12.
And
right
then
off the
and then
bat.
they went
Boom.
four. Then they ran the ball 4 times
12,
on you
6,
and got
3.
it. Right.
Yeah.
And the one thing that you can't account for,
Did they get 3 first downs on that drive?
After the 4th down conversion, yeah.
wow.
The first down was a 12-yard carry. Then they got the 4th down on that next.
Okay,
that
so
next
they got 2
series.
first downs then.
And then they picked
Then
up
they
those.
punted.
But had you gone for it instead of taking the field goal, the one thing that you can't argue because we don't know, it's rewriting history, but how does the other team respond? What do they do differently? How do they handle the pressure once they know that all of a sudden this is a one-score game and holy crap, yeah, that's Bill Belichick over there on the sideline.
Right, I think it would have now, listen, at 20-14, the Colts can't just line up and run Jonathan Taylor. They have to try to do something different. Maybe Wentz would throw another one to you.
Right.
Or maybe it becomes harder to stop them because you have to play the run and the pass.
And again, you don't know, but
and you don't know you're going to get it either. I'm just saying, I'm using Mike's scenario because I think Mike put it out there perfectly. Like, okay, so let's say you don't get it.
Right.
Like, I think everybody's like, oh, you make it 20-14 and then you win. Well, no, because I don't know that you're going to get 4th and goal from the 7.
But if you don't get it,
I like my chances of forcing a 3 and out.
Right.
Yes.
Back them up on the 7. You'll get good field position.
I'm down 20-7. The other team's got to get a first down starting at their own 7. I like my chances.
Yeah. The more time that passed, and even as they gave themselves a shot at it at the end, I think the more all three of us felt it would have been better for them to go for it there instead of taking the field goal.
I that's the only tweet I put out during the game was I thought it was a curious decision, and it set up no margin for error the rest of the game, and the Patriots made a lot of errors the rest of the game.
What other bads do we want to get to? Before we head over to the training room, which has also got a
I just got a
number of
couple
players on it tonight.
little things. I mean, I think the Gunner fumble, I really don't trust him much at all with his ball handling. It scares me. I mean, he got lucky, it went out of bounds, but it's just
Not
set
ready.
the early tone.
Not ready
of
to play.
And that was just don't turn the ball over. This team preys off turnovers. You can't do it. And right off the bat, it was like,
It's time to get Nikhil back there again. You saw he had that sure-handedness on that big reception late. So would you like to see more of Nikhil back there?
Not really.
No? Okay, we tried
I
that.
hope Nikhil's okay, though.
I did
hope
have
he's
that
all
on
right.
my list, and I had Ramondre Stevenson's fumble on my list as well. And I had sort of I snapped back at we had a caller from Canada earlier. I can't remember. I know we have 2 that call in regularly, and I can't remember which one it was.
Dustin from Ontario?
He was
maybe?
very concerned about Stevenson being able. Listen, I don't think Stevenson was a problem in this game tonight. They couldn't run the ball, and I think the offensive line was terrible, for the most part in this game. But to the caller's point, he fumbled. He did fumble tonight. They got it back. John O. Smith recovered it, but not good. You can't fumble.
Yeah. All right. Training room, which is brought to you by Theragun. Juwan Bentley was the first one.
I think then that one's significant.
I would say
that guy
so.
is a big run stopper. I mean that one you can kind of that one hurt. How much I'm not sure, but yeah, that was a big one. Nelson Aguilar.
That might be significant
perhaps.
too, because he had to leave with a concussion and never came back.
And Carl Davis was another one. I'm not sure if he.
I don't know.
Returned.
I don't know if he
just
came
heard
back,
him
and I don't know what his
announced.
problem was.
No, I don't know.
And then Nikhil on that big play at the end where, Sendejo was like a
He
a
looks like
missile.
he was okay though, because
Yeah,
I thought he was
a little
trying
shaken
to. I
up.
thought he looked like he was trying to get back in the game, and I don't know. I'd like to see that again. I didn't really see that the way they kept talking about it, but
I was hoping against hope with Aguilar that it was like a chest that he just took, a good pop to the
it could
to the
be.
midsection there.
But I think they did say head.
And I think there was a moment where it looked like he had kind of gone out a little bit, and I think you said as we were watching it, Paul, he was lucky to maintain possession of that ball because he
had a strong game. He made a couple of really difficult catches in this game.
right.
Aguilar had 4 for 34. Nothing flashy there, but I did think a couple of those catches were another thing. I didn't think Mac was very good. I thought Mac was getting his receivers hit all night.
And that's why I almost was thinking about Jacoby, but he had a couple draws, but the ball wasn't.
I do think he had a chance to make a play on that deep ball early. It was a good throw, but it was not an easy catch.
No, it wasn't.
And there weren't great throws, but I think Jacoby ended up with 6 catches on 12 targets.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
but look at the yards too. Like 44 yards for him, 44 for Bourne, 41 for Bolden, 34 for Aguilar. There's no yards.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
Oh, I
And
mean, how many third and shorts were they in? I mean, it was just, everything was a
that's the
grind.
thing. Like 6 for 15 doesn't sound terrible until you consider they needed like an average of like 5 yards on third down all night.
Right. All right. Thank you to Theragun. I've been using
Thank you very much for Theragun. It's awesome.
I've been using my Theragun a lot lately. It's fantastic. It's the only physician-created percussive therapy device. Releases deep muscle tensions and aches with its scientifically calibrated combination of depth, speed, and power. Trusted by 250 professional sports teams. Comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to Therabody.com. Get your Theragun today, starting at $199. I've seen it for sale in golf shops recently too. Like everyone's getting on board with the Theraguns. So nice job. Well done.
It's next to my couch all the time now.
Yo, couch.
That's all I do.
You watching the playoffs in the same place I am?
Yep.
Yo, couch.
You want to step aside before we do any calls there, Marie, Matt? All right, let's do that. Stay with us.
Diet Pepsi.
All right, stay with us. We get a bunch of emails coming in. webradio@patriots.com. Calls coming up next at 855-PATS-500.
Defending against cyber attacks requires seeing in the dark, understanding and ending every threat to your organization on computers, mobile, and the cloud. It takes cyber reason. End cyber attacks from endpoints to everywhere.
TouchView Interactive is here to support your hybrid learning, distance learning, and video conferencing needs with easy-to-use tools that allow end users to collaborate, interact, and present seamlessly. TouchView Interactive offers a comprehensive line of accessories and software to support your audio-visual needs. Outfit your classrooms and presentation spaces with the future of interactive display technology. Visit touchview.com for more info. Offered by the Oakers Company, celebrating 100 years of service and support.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
We did some things well, but we didn't do enough. And this time of the year, 8 penalties, 2 turnovers, it's not enough to win football games. We made some plays, we moved the ball well. Obviously got down early. That obviously, determined some things we could do, but thought we battled hard. Just like I said, 8 penalties and 2 turnovers in December is not going to win you a lot of football games. So, hats off to the Colts. They're a good defense, good team, but definitely some things we got to do better.
It's the Patriots Center David Andrews post-game, and thank you to Microsoft and our partner, Microsoft Windows 11, the official operating system of the NFL and the New England Patriots. The all-new Windows 11 is here to bring you closer to what you love, like the Patriots post-game show. Learn about all the awesome new features of Windows 11 at windows.com. David Andrews gets a bit of a pass, got a new baby at home, he's sleep-deprived. So
Yeah. Hunter Henry, too. He still caught 2 touchdowns, so.
Yeah, I it's tough when you're talking about the offensive line to pick on the center too much. Unless he's like, just.
It's not like he sets the protection right.
Right. It's
He's in the middle.
I mean, to be
he's
fair,
in the middle of it all.
That was a joke. That was snark. To be fair, it looked like the problems tonight were coming from the edges.
Yes,
I would say.
Yeah, speed, Colts. I mean, a lot of that toss stuff, they weren't having any of that.
It's amazing. Like, you don't have to be really big to play defense.
Wow. And
no, that was intentional. That was intentional snark.
Yeah, but I'm picking on the inside linebackers for the Colts because they're so little. I'm looking at them and saying, they're strong. They're tackling Stevenson.
Darius Leonard's a really good player.
Yeah,
like he's been a really good player since he's come into the league.
See, that's what things like guys like that, where you spend all week talking about him, pumping him up, and then he does what you've been talking about the whole week. Those are the guys that are real good.
And the difference between tonight and the 7-game winning streak is Darius Leonard gets hurt on the first play of the game, but came back on the third play of the game.
Right.
3 weeks ago, he would have been out for the game.
Right.
It's not our week.
Let's go to the phones. 855-PATS-500. We begin with Spee in Fresno on the Patriots Postgame show. Hello.
Paul, I agree. It's definitely a regression to the early season flaws they had. But Hardy, I know you're a Lions fan, and so to you, playing in the league is basically the same as losing. But this they needed to lose take is totally useless. I know, if they won tonight, it wouldn't even matter to people like you who've already given the Chiefs a bye to the Super Bowl. But I don't share your loser's mentality. I think it would have I would have preferred that they won. It's not good, Rob.
Okay, Spee.
All right, Spee. Sounds like you're having an argument with yourself, but
absolutely. That's a Super Bowl contending team you saw out there tonight. They're just like the Chiefs. They're just as good.
I told you in the pregame show. Listen to Patriots Unfiltered. They'll tell you what the teams are around the league. The Chiefs suck.
Right.
They beat the Raiders twice, the Chargers, the Packers without Rodgers, Cowboys without Cooper. They suck.
What do you want me to say? That if you thought you were watching a team worthy of talking about being in the Super Bowl through the first 3 quarters of that game tonight, I'd love to hear from it. And I do believe that there is some value in getting humbled at this point, as opposed to, say, next week against Buffalo or maybe your first playoff game. No.
So I want to apologize.
Learn some lessons earlier as opposed to late.
I want to apologize because it's Microsoft, right? Sponsors the quote that we just had from David Andrews.
Yeah.
Our play. So we missed the money quote. Question: what happened on the block punt? Belichick, quote, "We didn't block the guy," end quote.
There you go.
Bill also said we didn't do anything well enough to win, didn't play well, didn't coach well.
Yeah, I caught that he also opened it up with talking about extending sympathies to Ryan Kelly and his family. I'm still not sure what exactly happened.
Well, it's a personal situation. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen I didn't know. I didn't know what that situation was, but obviously it's significant.
Yeah.
Walter in Ukraine. Hello, gentlemen. Greetings from Ukraine. Tough loss, nice comeback. Hardy, over time, you've changed my mind. When you first started doing the show, I hated you, but I must admit you've grown on me. I find myself agreeing with you more, but today was the topper. I didn't wish for the Pats to lose like you, but agreed that they were due for it, maybe even needed a humility and intensity check or a reality check. Intensity, I think, is the word that someone else here used. After all, this was Indy's self-proclaimed...
Mike and I used that.
Yeah, biggest game.
Don't scoff at us.
No, I didn't want to put words in your mouth if I didn't know if it was Paul or Mike. Self-proclaimed biggest game in 10 years, and obviously the Pats were not ready for the immediate intensity, speed, and the carnival atmosphere at the start.
This was the biggest game in what?
And it cost them. Indy's
10 years?
Self-proclaimed biggest game in 10
Indy's.
years.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I did see some very encouraging signs of fire and fight back in the second half for both Mac and the offense and our defense, but hopefully they use it as a wake-up call and a motivator for the level of play they need to rise to end the season and to start the playoffs.
Didn't the Patriots beat the Colts in the AFC Championship game at 14?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the Colts knew they were going to lose that one.
Wasn't a big game.
That's Walter in Ukraine. Thank you, Walter.
No, I'm making fun of the Colts, not Walter. Let me, because he said the Colts self-proclaimed biggest game.
Right.
The Colts are not no, sorry, Hardy, the Lions. The Colts have been in the playoffs. They were in the playoffs last year.
You notice I'm not getting personal back. I don't feel there's any need for it. This is about the team. This is, and I don't think there's any. I don't take any joy from this tonight. But I'm trying to look ahead. I'm trying to set myself up for the distinct possibility, and I thought it a probability, that they were going to drop one of these games on the way in. So let's do it now. We all decided if they're going to split between here and Buffalo, which one would you rather lose?
Yeah,
I'd rather lose none, but
yes.
Okay.
If I had to lose one, tonight's the one I would have chosen.
Okay.
Because now you can't lose.
That's right.
No, and it's basically New England versus Buffalo for the AFC. Whoever wins
if you lose next week, there is I would say, 95+% chance you do not win the division.
Correct.
The Bills are 7-6 right now. I'm not penciling in wins for the Bills, just like I'm not penciling them in for the Patriots. But the Bills have at home the Panthers, the Falcons, and the Jets. They should not lose any of those 3 games. Therefore, if they win next week, they're going to be the AFC East champs. Because if they tie for the division, the Bills have the division tiebreaker based on AFC East record.
All right. But now they've lost. They're mad. They're going to refocus on the Bills and smash them, right?
I would like to think so.
I'd like to think so.
So we have a good pregame show for you next week.
All right.
Enjoy your Christmas.
That'll do it for this Patriots postgame show.
No, we can't. We can't. That's not how it works. I thought that was a good close.
There's only 2 hours.
Another hour plus. Okay, in that case,
well, happily we have some calls to get us through.
Yes, we do have time for you, John, in Norwell. So welcome into the Patriots postgame show. It's presented by Cyber Reason. John. All right. John, call back if you want to. We'll go to Brady in Iowa instead here. Patriots postgame. You're welcome. Hi, Brady. What's going on?
Hey, fellas. Thanks for having me. I just want to talk a little bit about the field goal decision. So just thinking about the situation of the game, there was 9 minutes left, give or take, a few seconds, I don't know. But we had 3 timeouts. Our defense was heating up. We were starting to come alive a little bit. I didn't totally mind it. Obviously, if we don't get the, if we don't have the false start, we're obviously going for it there. But, thinking about it, it's a little bit harder. We kick the field goal. All of a sudden, we make it a situation where there's 9 minutes left. If we make a defensive stop, which we didn't, we can make that. We can go down the field. We can kick a field goal. We can score a touchdown rather than have to punch it in the end zone a couple times. Just curious your thoughts there.
Well, I'm sure that's what Bill was thinking, and he just said he did what he thought was best for the team, which is the predictable answer to that question. But I think Mike really, he painted the picture properly. I think it changed the mentality for the Colts. I thought it made the Colts' job of running out the clock much easier, knowing that they had 9 minutes in a 2-score game.
Yeah.
Rather than the possibility. Either way, if you don't get it, it's a 2-score game. If you kick a field goal, it's a 2-score game. The only way you could have changed, I think, the game pressure is by going forward on 4th down and succeeding. I don't think there was a huge difference between being down 10 and being down 13.
Right.
I don't think there's that big of a difference.
Plus, you're still going for the win. You get a touchdown there. You're a touchdown away from 21-20. I'm not one to get into these decisions and get too fired up, but this one, I feel like it's a trade-off between basically settling for we still need 2 possessions, and now we're basically paying for the tie if we can get a field goal. Whereas
I'll even give you another one, okay? And maybe this is the difference between 2.5 minutes. The Colts went for a 4th down and inches on their own side of the field with a 20-10 lead. Do they do that if it's 20-14?
That's a good point.
Maybe he would have. I mean, I'll give Frank Wright credit tonight. He went for it, I think, 3 times.
That
got them all.
Some more juice behind it.
Yeah, you don't know. It changes the tone completely. So
yeah, and it's one other thing too I wanted to mention, Paul, that's circling this, because we've been talking about some of the early season mistakes and things that pop back up. I think some of the lack of clutch on the defense. I think they a sooner stop.
That's a great point.
It's another piece of that early kind of struggle that they did give the team a little bit of an opportunity with the red zone stops and stuff like that. But when you really needed that stop at the end with the 5-minute drive, couldn't get that one.
It was big.
It was the first
somebody stepping up and really.
So in the 7-game, let's count tonight. So we're just going to say the 7-game winning streak is now 8 games. They lost tonight, obviously, but so in that 8-game stretch, this is the first time that they were losing by 2 scores. It's the first time that they were losing at all since week 10. They were only trailing in the 7-game win streak 3 times. They were trailing in the 4th quarter in L.A., they were trailing in the 2nd quarter in Carolina, and they gave up an opening touchdown to Cleveland in Week 10 and then scored the next 45 points, which is a long way of saying what Mike said. This is the first time they've had any pressure on them in a game since those first 6 games. And in the first 6 games, 4 out of 6 times, you didn't hold up to the pressure of the game. Tonight, you made it 5 out of 7 times. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, maybe you want to say, I'll give you the Chargers as a game pressure game that they held up to. Because that was a close game. Even after you got the pick 6, you had to get off the field, and they did.
Yeah.
And then they got a nice drive there to make it a 10-point game. But that was reminiscent of, say, the Saints game where they had a chance, or the Miami game where they had a chance. To get off the field, even though you were playing like especially against the Saints, I thought they played reasonably good defensively in that game. Mac killed them that day with the 3 picks, but the 2 picks especially, they had a pick 6 and another pick that was run back inside the 10. So the defense was put in a lot of bad spots that day. But after all of that, they got within a score. They were down 8 in the fourth quarter. They just needed to stop. And the Saints went right down the field and scored. And that was reminiscent to me of the last 10 minutes of this game. They needed to stop, and the Colts had 2 possessions, and they couldn't stop them. Like, they took 5 minutes off the clock on one, and there's the Jonathan Taylor run that iced it.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a good look at this one yet.
Watch McCourty. Hightower misses the tackle, and McCourty is way out of position.
Oh, whoops.
Now,
and then
I'm going to give McCourty a little bit
Jackson.
of – he ran away from – yeah, that's a good point, Hardy, which you wouldn't expect. Jackson's pretty fast. I'm going to give McCourty a little bit of a pass because you got 11. It's all 11. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not playing traditional safety there. He's coming up hell bent for leather on that play. So I'll give him a little bit of a pass. But listen, I said it. I said it at the time, and I said it at the beginning of the show. There's not that much difference between what Jonathan Taylor did tonight to what the Patriots did to Buffalo 2 weeks ago.
No, and I saw somebody tweeted out a comparison, which was kind of striking, really, about, Wentz had 5 passes. I wish I could find the tweet, but it was perfectly kind of lined up. I mean, it was essentially the same games. Here it is. Patriots beat Bills throwing 3 passes and running for 222. Colts beat Patriots completing 5 and running for 226. It's kind of crazy.
Yep.
That's exactly.
Now, I would say that it's a little different because the Patriots had to play conventional defense for the most part. What I'm comparing to Buffalo is the fourth quarter, when it was apparent those last 2 drives that Wentz wasn't going to throw it again. They're just going to run it, and you couldn't stop them.
I don't follow Bill Simmons on Twitter, so I don't know if this is something he regularly does. I've seen a quote tweeted a lot tonight, though. His tweet from 48 minutes ago: tough Pats loss, too many mistakes, and Wentz was just too much. And people are losing their minds in the replies. And tell me you didn't watch the game without telling me you didn't watch the game. Are you serious? Obvious troll job, which I don't. Is this something he does?
I can't believe that anybody. Oh, I don't know if it's something he does, but I mean, it's pretty obvious that that's sarcasm.
There are now 287 people who feel differently.
But they're all like making fun of him as opposed to laughing with him.
Wentz was nothing but a game manager in this game. That's from Lori. Wentz threw for 57 yards. Did you even watch the game?
Oh
yes,
my God. It's unbelievable. That's unbelievable.
All right, let's go to Cole in Hawaii on the Patriots Postgame show. Hello, Cole.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's going on?
All right, so I was going to talk about that 4th down in the end.
Yeah.
When right after the Michael Onwenu what's it called?
Yeah.
False start. So as you guys were talking about, if they had gone for it and gotten that touchdown, right? I feel like they would have had a much higher chance of getting that touchdown, especially with, if you go back and look at all the touchdowns that Hunter Henry's had, they've all been, 7 yards, 8 yards, 6 yards, like all right in that range. And it seems like even his 2 other touchdowns, they were 8 yards, right? So do you think if they had gone for it, they would have gone to like Hunter Henry, or they would have ran it? Like, what do you think they would have done had they chosen to go for it?
Go to Hunter. This was what was working. I would have liked to try, because even if you don't get it, you're 2 scores down. They're going to take the ball right over again, right where you are, and you get a chance to stop them deep in their own territory.
Yeah, I'm with you, Cole. I would have gone for it, and certainly Hunter Henry would have made sense.
Yep.
Honestly, I was sitting here like yelling at my tablet, like, go for it, go for it, go for it.
Try that next time. Maybe it'll work. I don't know. You don't know until you try.
I wish it did. Yell louder next time.
Brandon in Atlanta on the Patriots Postgame show. Hello, Brandon.
Hey, what's up? There's an echo. Sorry. Yeah, I'm just really, like I say every time we lose, I appreciate y'all because I really need these to get me through these losses. The almost comeback kind of makes me feel better, but I mean, still, it's unfortunate. But I really think I wanted to touch on a few things. So I really think that we dodged 2 bullets by Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb not playing because I think this would have been the same result with them that we just had with Jonathan Taylor. And
that might be a big picture takeaway from this game.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, Brandon.
Yeah, and I'm worried about the Buffalo game just because on paper, and obviously you play on the field, the Buffalo has a better team, like Hardy said. They are, for the most part, if you know football and you looking just on paper, yeah, they're a better team. And we don't really have home field advantage because we've lost a lot of games at home this year. So I'm just worried about that, but I'll stress out over that over the week. I'm not going to focus on that tonight.
Yeah,
and
you know
also,
what, Brett? Okay, I'll go ahead and finish, Brandon, because you said something interesting, too, about home field. But go ahead.
Right. I have a theory. Maybe it's a conspiracy theory. Call me crazy. I think the Chargers lost that game on purpose to the Chiefs because we beat them badly last year. We beat them this year, and I think they did it out of spite. That's my story.
Wow. All right, Brandon. Thanks for the call. Yeah, there's a different.
Good call.
There's a different.
Brandon Staley is into advanced analytics, so I don't know.
The percentages said that they have a better chance of going to New England as in a 3-6 matchup. That's what he did.
Yeah.
And not kicking any field goals. Not even going to bring a kicker.
There's a difference between having a true home field advantage and not having and a home field disadvantage.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So the Patriots may not have a true home field advantage like other teams do or to the same extent, especially when you base on their home record this year. But all things being equal, yes, they'd rather be at home. But they played well on the road tonight. Tonight is the outlier in terms of how they've handled themselves, and it was really it was kind of startling to see Mac get, I think, put off by the.
It's the first time I've seen him rattled.
Yeah,
I thought he was visibly rattled tonight.
He
kept fighting.
Visibly,
I'm not taking that away from him. He didn't quit.
Visibly rattled, and then on the sideline after that first pick, and again after he was kind of in shock.
With this one, you catch that angle.
And
man,
you know what?
Man.
Listen, to go 6-1 on the road, I don't care who you're playing. That's really impressive. It's not easy to win games in the NFL, and it's certainly not easy to win them on the road. And they went 6-1 so far, right? But can we also say, if they had the home schedule that they've had on the road, that they would have 5 losses? You know what I mean? They would have lost all those games on the road.
They would have lost to the Buccaneers.
Sometimes it just
Tampa,
comes down to who you play and where.
Yeah.
Does anybody think that when they lost to Tampa and Dallas, that if those games were on the road, that would have been the difference? They would have won them?
No.
So to suggest, well, they haven't played well.
Paul, please.
Paul. They haven't played well at home, so I don't know how much that matters. And I'm not I know that that's not what Brandon was saying.
No.
But I have heard a little of this, sort of mentality, how important is the bye? How important really is it because they haven't played well at home? Well, when you're playing in the playoffs, you're going to be playing against a team that's good because they're all good. All the playoff teams in the AFC are going to be good. You might see this team again, right? So, obviously, you'd rather play at home.
Absolutely.
I don't want to go back to Indy. I don't want to go to Kansas City or to Tennessee.
I don't even want to go to L.A.
I don't want to go to L.A. You lose next week, you're probably going to go somewhere in the first round. That's how quick it can change.
Yep. Right.
You went from having a bye in the first round to being on the road in the first round if you lose next week.
Yeah, kind of interesting. Mac Jones at the podium now saying didn't have a great week of practice. The energy was kind of low.
I
reflects
hate that.
how we played.
Can I tell you how much this is a comment that I get after almost every loss? We didn't practice well this week. Please. Like, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Tell me that beforehand. I don't know. We struggled at practice this week.
But going back to, when they were the top seed in the AFC and the best record in the AFC, and did that feel more authentic than this feels now, where it's a team that's kind of on the bubble and you're in a fight for the division and a fight for seeding in the AFC, or did it feel more authentic when the Patriots were the number 1 seed in the conference? Which feels more realistic?
I mean, probably then, just because you had certain things that you certainly believed about that team, like with Tom Brady and who that team was.
No. I'm talking this season.
Oh, this season. Sorry, got you. Say it again then.
So a couple of weeks ago, Pats are the number 1 seed in the AFC.
Do you feel different now?
No. What feels more authentic?
This is what they are, and that's why unfortunately, I picked the score tonight. I mean, I thought they were going to lose. Not necessarily because
humble brag.
No, you know what? That's a bad job by us, Paul.
We should have given him his props.
It's Deuce correctly predicted the outcome down to the score. I have it written down.
Mike, you take your bows because, listen, it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
No, it didn't feel good. I didn't feel good, and I got plenty of Twitter.
But everybody knows. Everybody knows that you didn't want them to lose.
I didn't think that this. I just like you said. I have a lot of respect for who they are and the kind of team they become. But I didn't think that they were the number 1 seed, going to run the table and run everybody. Like, they are a team that's still figuring themselves out a little bit to some extent, even as much as they have figured themselves out. And I just don't see how you can look at the win streak and who they played and how those games unfolded and not see, hey, if a team does this to them and they get the takeaways, it could easily flip-flop on you. And that's what I think happened tonight. I don't know how they're going to bounce back against the Bills next week. I know that now their backs are kind of against the wall again. Maybe this is a familiar feeling to them. Hopefully it spurs a much better effort in the game. And, you can see it coming back home. They've been away for a while. It feels like they haven't played here in forever, so.
Sanders says this is feels like the worst Patriots game I've watched since the Kansas City game in 2014. Which I don't.
Wow, what about the Detroit loss?
That was bad.
How about Dallas in Week 6?
See, I think Kansas City was worse because there was never any hope. You had, Brady out of that game much earlier than any other game I remember seeing him in. I mean, it was done. That game was over. That game was finished at
I
halftime.
just watched the latest episode of The Man in the Arena, and that's the 2014 one, and that game gets obviously a good amount of attention, that Kansas City game, and it was every bit as bad as you remembered it. They couldn't stop the run, like Jamal Charles. I think it was Jamal Charles, running all over them.
It is funny though.
Nile
like
Davis.
I used to say, like, even when they get dominated, they never really get blown out.
And that was a rare time that they got blown out.
And that was one of those rare times. But I feel like tonight was one of those where they kind of got dominated,
but they found a way to not get blown out. They found a way to stay in the game, even though, like I said, and there's going to be a lot of this week. People will be making fun. Like, they never got the ball down a score. So they never had a chance to win the game.
Right.
Like, they never got the ball with a chance to tie or take the lead.
Right. That was after that Kansas City game. That was the start of the Brady and decline era over on your station there, Paul.
I love that he's calling
my
it
station is your station. Hi ho.
That's perfect for that chair, though. That's exactly your channel.
Addison and Fresno. So I was wrong. While this loss may not technically end this season, it definitely feels like the Patriots lost any shot at going to the Super Bowl, which I foolishly allowed myself to believe they could do in the first place. I understand in comparison to the beginning of the season, expectations, I'd also like to apologize to Eric. That was mean, but correct. I must admit, having called in just a few times, it was nerve-wracking. Give him props for being able to go on the air. Addison, this is where I feel like I'm actually more positive, where I say, no, I kind of
makes you a contrarian.
No, I borderline wanted this for the team, but at the very least, I'm accepting of a loss at this point in the season because I'd rather have it now. Now I'm all in. I'm pushing all the chips in on Buffalo a week from tomorrow.
I just think and I know that what your point is, and you're right. If you're looking at it realistically, you're watching this team week in, week out, and you're like, they're playing really well, and they're finding a way to win all these games, but they really don't look like a Super Bowl team to me, which is okay. Like, I don't think anybody thought in August this was a Super Bowl team. So, like, it's not like, well, man, that's a disaster. They're not a Super Bowl team. So you look at it that way, and you say, oh, okay, it's not the end of the world. But then you look at it from the other perspective, and you're like, well, why not them? Like, it's a year that clearly doesn't have that team that has that Super Bowl look.
Right.
Because I would agree with some of the naysayers on Kansas City. They have not looked Super Bowl caliber. We all know they're capable of a higher level. And that's in the back. I think that's in the back of all of our minds. But if you could just find a way to continue winning and get that first round bye, you say to yourself, why not? I only have to win one game to get the AFC Championship. I'm at home for two wins, and I can get to the Super Bowl. And I think that's what's disappointing because you had a chance to get there. Now, this is not a fluke loss tonight. This was a team that they played that was pretty good on the other side. By the way,
played great.
Don't let yourself think that the Colts did everything. The Colts couldn't throw the ball. The Colts made plenty of mistakes in this game. The Patriots just made a lot more. I think if Carson Wentz was anywhere near as good in this game as he's been for the other games, the other 13 games, the Patriots could have had the Mike blowout that he's talking about. He could not throw the ball where he wanted to throw it tonight. And that allowed the Patriots to stay in the game.
Pat and Agawam up next on the Patriots Postgame Show, presented by Cyber Reason. What's going on, Patty?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How you feeling? You okay?
Yeah, I mean, the crappy loss.
Not good,
what are you going to do? I'll tell you what. To me, I'll tell you when the game was lost, and I'll get to something else too. But to me, the game was lost when they were driving down 14-0, and Mac throws the pick. Because who knows how the game plays out after that? But if it plays out the way it did, you have a chance to win the game. Instead of being a score behind after scoring the last.
It was 17-0 when that happened. But I agree with you. I thought that was an enormous play late in the half to not get points on that drive. Knowing you're getting the ball to start the second half, if you score there, 17-7. Even if it's 17-3, but 17-7, you got the ball coming out second half, changes the complexion. That was a big red zone pick. I agree with you, Patty.
And next week, regardless of what the final score is, if they come out the way they came out this week, they're going to get beat.
Oh, bad.
That's. I think that goes without saying. I mean, Josh Allen, you saw what he can do in crunch time. If he smells blood in the water early, and there is, sloppy football going on the opposite side of the ball there, he's going to take advantage of that a lot. I think they have more ways to take advantage of that than the Colts did tonight. The Colts had one way really to take advantage of it, and that's all they needed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it's going to be a different weather game, but it's going to be, you're actually going to see maybe a team that can throw. And in the conditions, and what does that bring? I mean, is this a whole nother can of worms that we're about to open against Buffalo, or is this under control and this will help them get in order? But it's not like they can walk into the Buffalo game and be like, we really got to stop the run again. It's not really what the game plan is going to call for.
Stefan in Germany says, surprised to see a Belichick coach team coming out of a bye week play terribly sloppy football for 3 quarters. Well, you heard him say they had a bad week of practice.
Can I just? I have a very minor nitpick that it's sort of annoying me how much credit the Patriots are getting for how well they played in the fourth quarter.
Okay.
They didn't. Like, their defense wasn't good in the fourth. Their defense was excellent in the third quarter, but it wasn't great in the fourth quarter. And they had an enormous penalty, a sloppy, big penalty in the fourth quarter that went from 3rd and goal from the 2 to 3rd and goal from the 7, which ultimately, when that play fails, forces you to, well, not forces you, but led to you kicking a field goal instead of trying to get within one score with a touchdown. Like, those plays happen in the fourth quarter. Those are the same plays that happened in the first 3 quarters.
I agree.
They did not play well in the fourth quarter. They gamely continued to fight till the end.
Yes.
That I will say 100%.
And they made a couple of plays, Paul, and it's like we were talking about earlier. Deuce brought up how the offense looked like it was just such a struggle to get anything going. They had a couple of plays that didn't look like it was such a chore to pick up yards in the fourth quarter. And that's, I mean, when you're watching it and you've got a certain feeling about the way a team is moving the ball, they moved the ball a couple of times. It wasn't effortless, but it wasn't the the grind that it was for the other parts earlier in the game. And I think that's why people
from the 43-yard bomb to Harry, everything else is exactly what the Colts wanted you to do. They wanted you to go 10, 15 yards at a time, run clock. We're gonna have Taylor run clock on our side, and you don't have enough time to catch us. That's what the Colts wanted. The one play they made was the deep ball to Harry, and that allowed them to get, I think it was 43 yards, right? I mean, obviously the Colts didn't want this play to happen, and give Harry and Mac credit for making a play there when they had to. But like I said, they never got the ball down a score. They never put any pressure on the Colts. Yeah, they scored 17 points in the fourth quarter. That's a little deceiving because the first 7 happened on the very first play of the quarter. That drive started in the third quarter. Just not good all around.
Caesar says before the back-breaking touchdown run, Jonathan Taylor had 28 carries for 101 yards, averaging 3.6 per carry.
Yeah, you dominated the game, though.
On paper, right? And he says, on paper, that looks good for the Pats D. However, watching the game, I felt like he was running all over the Pats D. What are your thoughts? Because, again, you're talking about averages. It's not like he got 3.6 every time. Yeah, they stuffed him a couple of times, but
they had a couple of tackles for losses.
Right.
Like he had like 110 yards and then went back to 103.
Right. It was the plays where he would hit the line, pick up his 2 or 3, and then fall down for 4 more yards. It was those plays.
What'd you think of Ramondre Stevenson in Buffalo?
I mean, he was good. I think he had some very positive runs at the end. There were some others but I mean, they ran it a ton. So I think
it was like 20.
Yeah, it's going to like offset
27 for 75 or something like that.
He was good.
He was excellent.
Yeah.
He controlled the third quarter when they were running the ball into the wind. He averaged 3 yards a carry.
Yeah.
But he was controlling the game, and that's what Jonathan Taylor did tonight.
Zach in Freiburg wants to know if there's going to be any other supplemental discipline for Duggar after his ejection from the game tonight.
I thought that whole play was odd. Frankly, I wonder if Kyle Van Noy will have anything coming to him because I thought he started the whole thing.
It looked like he had a role in that was not picked up by the officials. And
I thought this was odd to throw guys out of the game for this. I didn't think either one of them deserved to be ejected. And I really thought the Patriots were fortunate to get offsetting penalties here. But, whatever. I mean,
for all that we, get on the officials, and rightly so a lot of the time, in a situation like this, and, it goes to New York and they're looking at it, they're trying to keep the game moving a little bit. They don't want to stop it for an undue amount of time and dissect something that is not a football play. That's something that
look at that! Like
ends
that
up being
cheap shot by Van Noy that just completely went untouched. Like no one even mentioned it.
Yeah.
Except for everybody on Twitter. But like he pushed him right into Duggar. I don't think was trying to do that with his helmet. Like because Van Noy pushed him into him. His head went down, and that's when, like right here is just like a regular, personal fouls each side. Now, like, Van Noy just buries him, and then Duggar ends up ripping his helmet off. I was very surprised that Pittman got the same penalty that Duggar did. I thought
Pittman
there
was too.
Yeah, I thought there was more. I mean, listen, the Colts got the calls tonight. Like, I'm not suggesting that. They got – not saying that there was good, bad, or look at that. Like, that's a great shot of it right there. Like, the push by Van Noy starts this whole – look at that. Like, that's unbelievable.
It's a left. Came in with a left.
And that's, like, right in the back. Like at least Duggar is squared up with the guy. They Pittman and Duggar, they know what they're doing.
You see Pittman's head
go
back from the whiplash of getting pushed by Van Noy.
Back. And to the left.
CJ in Baltimore, Patriots Postgame presented by Cyber Reason. Hello, CJ.
Hey, how are you all doing? And this was a kind of a tough loss for me. I do thank you for having the show because it allows me to process everything.
Us too.
One thing I wanted, just a few things. One's a question about future shows. is there anything that they can do to just better the running game? Because that was just depressing.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that they didn't have a little bit more success. I mean, overall things are just disjointed. But I mean, I do think as much as like individually, I don't know if Damian Harris is like the answer, but I think together they're a good group, and it gives you a chance to try different things. They didn't really have someone else to go to. It was kind of Stevenson or bust, and I think once they got away from it, they got down quick, and then it was all right. It's a different game now. It's not really a Stevenson game. It's a Bolden game. It's a throwing game. So I think the way the game unfolded had part to do with it.
And that's the big part of it. All week I was talking about if the Patriots were to shut down Jonathan Taylor in this game, it will be because the Patriots get a big lead and they won't be able to run Jonathan Taylor 20-plus times.
Yeah.
Well, listen, give the Colts credit. They shut down Stevenson early. But how many times have we seen that the Patriots maybe don't jump out of the gates, ripping off big runs, but they stick with it and they eventually start grinding away, and by the third and fourth quarter, those 2-yard runs become 7-yard runs. Well, they couldn't do that tonight because they were down 3 scores, and you can't just keep running Stevenson, down all of that at the time. So. Right. I think that was a big part of it. But give Indianapolis credit. That's what their game plan was. Same game plan as everybody else, only they succeeded.
Yeah, and I do think I got to say I give Indianapolis credit because, I always give the Patriots credit when they're able to, pull out these wins and by playing together and not beating themselves and making the little plays here and there, and that's exactly what the Colts did tonight.
Good highlight clips right here, too. That the peeps in the truck are doing. I'm going to call it the truck, even though it's just the other room. When they kept trying to run wide, I thought that was sort of an error because I think the strength of the Colts defense is the speed, not necessarily the power. Right. I thought they funneled things to the outside really well tonight. I thought they did a good job in pursuit. And, listen, I'll say it again. Give Indianapolis credit. They said they needed to shut down the run and put the game in the rookie quarterback's hands. Mission accomplished. There's another wide run right there.
Sure helps when you block a punt for a touchdown.
Oh, no, that was a huge. That was huge.
No,
I know. I'm talking about
was,
the Colts defense, not the Colts offense.
Yeah, it wasn't just like, we can't run.
CJ,
Juwan Bentley, by the way.
Thanks for the call, CJ.
Yeah. Juwan Bentley just tweeted, more glory to the man above. I know that we make a lot of those things, and sometimes you can, like, after the Buffalo game, I think.
Adrian Phillips. He said, no, I always do that.
And he did. He did it tonight.
He did it again tonight.
I saw it tonight, yeah.
So that's you don't want to read too much in it. I don't know.
Yeah. Go to Charlotte, North Carolina. Talk with Craig on the postgame show. Hi, Craig.
Hey, how's it going? Can you guys hear me?
Oh, yeah.
All right, great. Hey, dude, I've been listening to your predictions all year. Don't beat yourself up too much for getting this one right. That's been right, obviously. So I thought it was a funny. But I mean, it's lucky, but it was kind of funny. It was a tough game to predict how this was going to turn out. I had a kind of a question for you. The Pats had a lot of opportunities. I'm so sorry. I'm breaking up here a bit.
That's all right, Craig. Call back, get a better line, and we'll be here. Yeah, we're not going anywhere. All right, we'll go to George in Illinois. George, go ahead. Thanks for joining us on the postgame show presented by Cyber Reason. What's up, George?
Hey, I know you guys talked about the penalties and the times where we shot ourselves in the foot for this game, but how concerned are you guys that those self-inflicted wounds will also kill us next week against Buffalo?
Whew. I mean, I hope not.
Look,
they've been good lately.
Yeah, it'll absolutely kill you. It'll kill you against any team. Or most any team.
Especially those kinds of penalties, the false starts, the pre-snap stuff, that can't happen.
That's something to where, when it comes down to coaching, it's something that we just take for granted and have taken for granted so often and for so many years in New England that it's something that you don't spend any time worrying about. Like ball security, things like that. Okay, that is either, personnel decisions, who's going to get the ball, who has more tendency to fumble, things like that. But the penalties, the self-inflicted stuff, that's something you just
you jump offside in a field goal.
Right.
You have a false start on 3rd and goal from the 2.
It reminds me of N'Keal Harry being back there. It's like, do you really have to coach a guy not to chase after, a punt? It's like, do you really have to coach up a team?
Yeah,
Whatever
like,
you do, don't jump offside
like
here and
you
give
really
him
had to tell Costanza that it wasn't okay.
Was that wrong?
Like I have to have like a coaching point. Like Jonnu Smith, it's like second and
wrong?
1 from the 8. I'm gonna not. You probably don't want to have a false start here.
Yeah, stuff like that, George. Yes, it will be catastrophic against Buffalo next week. Do I think they have to spend a lot of time working on it this week? Boy, I hope not. I hope it's something that just kind of goes without saying. They look at the film, they address it once and say, guys, do I even have to say it? Thank you. Let's move on.
You're not talented enough to overcome that many mistakes. Like, you have to play your game, and
this is what people have been talking about with Kansas City. Like, Kansas City has been doing this stuff this whole time, and they keep winning. And that's why people think there's another gear that the Chiefs might have. Like, one of these weeks, they're not going to turn it over twice.
Yeah.
They're not going to commit 4 holding penalties to short-circuit drives, and then what? I mean, they generally find a way to score, 25 or 30 points every game. What's going to happen when they stop shooting themselves in the foot?
Yeah.
Which even against the Chargers, they did it again with 2 more turnovers.
Right. Email here from Scott. Was Gunner really the best option to throw the ball to on that 4th down to end the game? I get that Henry was out, and I believe Aguilar was too, but Gunner Olszewski?
Yeah. The game was over, right?
Not to Hunter or Myers? Gunner? Yeah, it's over when it's over, though. I mean...
right, it was over.
Okay. And on that note, we will end the post-game show. Just kidding. Just taking a quick break, and we'll come back. We have more calls. We have more emails to get to. We certainly wouldn't end things without thanking Cyber Reason. Great defenders don't just play in the field. They're also protecting your company and data. Cyber Reason on a mission to end ransomware and keep your business undefeated against cyber attacks. Learn more at cyberreason.com/ransom.
It all starts. It all starts now.
TouchView Interactive is here to support your hybrid learning, distance learning, and video conferencing needs with easy-to-use tools that allow end users to collaborate, interact, and present seamlessly. TouchView Interactive offers a comprehensive line of accessories and software to support your audio-visual needs. Outfit your classrooms and presentation spaces with the future of interactive display technology. Visit touchview.com for more info. Offered by the Oakers Company, celebrating 100 years of service and support.
That looks awful. Football's back and it's time to go big. Pepsi pulled pork sandwiches are game day greatness. Now we're ready for game day. Check out some more awesome recipes on madeforpatriotswatching.com.
Defending against cyber attacks requires seeing in the dark, understanding and ending every threat to your organization on computers, mobile, and the cloud. It takes Cyber Reason. End cyber attacks from endpoints to everywhere.
An active lifestyle means you never stop moving. That's why only Theragun devices are designed to release your body's deepest muscle tension, so you can do the things you love. You only have one body. Make it a TheraBody.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
That's great, mijo. With the baby coming, you that money in our lessons.
It's like I'm watching the movie.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
Making money. Join us, 855-PATS-500, or email webradio@patriots.com. Happy to entertain both and continue right now, thanks to Bose. Proud to be the official sound and official headphones of the New England Patriots and the NFL. Bose Quiet Comfort earbuds. Rule the quiet. Learn more at bose.com. Let's talk to Robin in Florida. Robin on the Patriots Postgame Show, presented by Cyber Reason. Hi, Robin.
Hey, guys. Look, my opinion on this whole thing is just let Mac be Mac. I mean, he won a national championship. What have you done, Bill, in the last couple of years? Nothing. Let Mac be Mac.
That's right. How so?
Just let Mac be Mac.
Well, how so?
Throw.
What did you want him to do? What did you want?
Like, why the babying? Why the babying?
What was the
Just
babying?
Let Mac do Mac things.
What was the
He's
babying?
Won a national championship.
Okay, I know that Mac won the national championship. Bill has won 6 Super Bowls. So we don't have to compare resumes because they don't compare. What did he do to not let Mac be Mac?
The babying. Just take the diapers off. The diapers.
Okay,
have to come off.
can you give us an example tonight of the babying?
Just take the diapers off.
Okay. What is what diaper is on?
If we lose, we lose. If we
What
lose, we lose.
can you give me an example tonight? Just one example of the diaper being on, because the quarterback cost you the game early. He was off.
So much running, just running.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Just air it out. Just air it out.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you, Robin.
Let Matt cook.
Let's.
The quarterback was awful at the start of this game, and he was as big a reason as any as to why you were behind.
Let's see how you play with you're being forced to wear a diaper. He won a national championship, Paul. They should let Mac be Mac.
Yeah, we're comparing resumes between Mac Jones and Bill Belichick.
How many national championships has Bill Belichick won in the last?
Like a gazillion?
He doesn't want to. If he wanted to, he could.
Yeah.
He does pro.
They got to take the handcuffs off. Let him go out there and be the gunslinger. See if he can get 2 more receivers killed in the next game.
That was a nice interception, though. You got to give the Colts guy credit, man.
Oh my God, what a grab!
Jumps.
Now, I mean, he jumps the route, but you saw it unfolding. I saw it unfolding as it was happening. He made a great catch, but there's no way that ball was being completed.
46 passes and 19 runs. Diapers. Diapers.
Evan in Denver, what's going on, Evan?
Hey, fellas.
Hey.
Hey, so all 3 phases of the game looked completely inept tonight. Offense, defense, special teams, they all looked completely horrible. And I just want to know how you come, and I know the Colts were in the same boat, but how do you come off a bye week and look so inept in all 3 phases against the Colts?
Yeah, just flat, too. I mean, it's just
they talked a lot about the practice week. And I get annoyed with that only because they always tell us
retroactively.
They always tell us when they win, what a great week of practice was, and when they lose after, we find out how bad it was. That it's just an annoying thing, but it's probably accurate. Like they probably didn't practice as well as they have been. I don't know why that is, but it's hard to figure these things out. It's a game played by humans. They played much more like they did in the first 6 weeks than they have the last 7 they played tonight.
All right, Evan. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
It's a tough one because he's right. Evan's right. They were not good on any of the phases. Like even you're looking at defensively. The numbers defensively are going to be solid. 275 yards. Really only 20 points.
The points, and you're absolutely. I was thinking about that as the game was unfolding before that last touchdown.
It's really only 17 points because they gave him a field goal without even giving up a first down.
Right, and the field position and all that. Okay, all right, not a ton on the defense. You still allowed the one guy on the Colts offense to beat you, and he's the only guy. And he did.
And two for 10 on third down.
He's a good guy.
Which is good numbers, but then you add in 3 for 3 on fourth down. It's like 5 for 10 on third down.
Yeah, the fourth down. But, how the fourth down was like, what, a yard less?
Well, they were all inches, but
short,
that's
right?
my point. You stopped them inches short of the first down on those third downs. Close enough that I believe, at least 2 of them. I think all 3 of them were from the Colts side of the field.
Can we mention, too, the passes up the seam continue to be a trouble area for Mac Jones. That's just, we talked about it this week, and it started in training camp. It was just balls in danger, throwing up the seam. A couple tonight. I can't really remember the last time I saw him actually hit a seam pass. It's just, they're always hairy, hold your breath. Bunch of guys are holding him, and then the interception to the outside too. That was, not up the seam, but
how about this fourth down? That was showing the quick sprint
out.
out.
Not sure what was going on
there.
That
play had no chance.
No.
Not sure what was going on there.
Eldred, In North Carolina, our friend Eldred. What's going on, my
Hey,
my
fellas.
friend?
Like I was telling Matt,
So late.
I got to wear a confound Colts jersey for a week now.
Oh, no.
So for 8 years,
Oh, no.
I had to wear Patriots for a week.
That sucks.
Is it at least a Jonathan Taylor jersey, I
Yeah.
hope?
Well, the worst part is that you're a grown man
no,
and you have
he
to
got
wear
a
a jersey.
confound Peyton Manning.
Oh, no. He doesn't even play there anymore. Isn't he a Bronco?
You yell at me.
Yeah, but he's a Peyton Manning fan. But I'm with you, Deuce.
No.
You know, I'm surprised that we got this far and playoff whatever the first seed, but they're not a Super Bowl team to me because of the offense and rookie quarterback. And like they said in the preview of ESPN, Michael Irvin and Stephen Smith, they said we're gonna see if they can put the team on his shoulder and win the game. He did in the first 3 quarters, but he showed them something in the fourth quarter. But like Stephen Smith said, when you get behind like this, because they play the same game plan against us, we don't have that go-to guy, that go-to wide receiver that's an 80-20 ball, not the 50, 80-20. He said because our receivers, they like puppies. They get ghosts when you really need them. If you got to come from behind, you never win a shootout. You'll never win one. And I've been saying that for about a week now, more than weeks, you know. But then again, like I said, I hope we beat Buffalo, but I'm just thinking, offense needs a lot more help. Even though Matt is a rookie, which everybody got to take in, but he's a promising rookie, and I hope nobody, you know, like I said, this don't scar him the wrong way, but give him confidence going forward. That's what I hope.
Yeah, and Eldred, it's a good point because, you know, we talked about that earlier on in the season when the Pats faced the Jets and Zach Wilson throws 4 picks, and, you know, we talk about how that can really scar a quarterback. I don't think Mac is going to be happy, and he didn't look happy on the sideline tonight. I don't know that this game is enough to scar him and damage him, though. It was a bad game.
Oh, I think he's pretty tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's shown a lot of resilience. I don't worry about that.
As
I
bad
think
as
I started like the show, like that's a given to me. The Patriots' toughness, and I put Mac Jones in that category. He's shown me enough that he puts bad plays behind him and moves on. He didn't play well tonight.
No.
He didn't play even as well as his numbers would show that he played.
Yeah.
But I don't worry about him bouncing back because he's mentally scarred from his bad night tonight.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on all that, Paul. I think that this was a good night for Mac just to learn and to go into this kind of environment and see how things can go, you know, when they don't go perfect and you're all of a sudden fighting it and your mistakes compound. And I mean, I think it was a little bit of a taste for him seeing, I mean, he has fought even when they've been down before, but I just think overall taking kind of an ass beating in Indy, it's all right. If you believe in Mac Jones as the quarterback for the foreseeable future, this is the kind of game that he's going to learn a lot from and take forward.
Cassie in Philly writes in, hey guys, been listening to PU and the postgame show for a while. Tonight was my first time listening to the pregame social. Looks like someone got their Christmas wish. I get that getting a loss before the playoffs might help them in the long run, but this game was painful to watch. I agree. That was painful. I guess better the Colts than the Bills. That said, love the show. Hope you have a great Christmas, Cassie in Philly.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I really felt like the 07 team could have used a loss. Like that's a team that, like, I think that would have been nice for them, like, to lose one of those games.
Certainly,
like,
in retrospect,
you know,
when you find out, like, some candid comments from players after the fact of how much pressure they felt.
Yeah.
Certainly, they could have used a loss that
but
team.
Right.
We'll see. Hopefully this relocks them in on. I wouldn't have been. I did not expect them to be as unprepared, for lack of a better word, as they were tonight.
We have Alex in Chicago. Alex on the Patriots postgame presented by Cyber Reason. Hello, Alex.
Hey, what's up, guys? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a tremendous line.
I have a few quick takeaways, and then I'll take it off the air. And if you guys have anything to say about any of them, I definitely like to hear your guys' opinions. Number one, our linebacking core looks like dinosaurs out there. I mean, I'm really tired of this experiment of mixing these young guys and old guys. I think they've played well at times, but I'm okay to just tear things down to the studs and just build a younger defense, because tonight it really showed. Number two, again, I called in saying this before, you have 7-8 players on this team that only play special teams. and special teams sucked again. I don't want to see us waste roster spots on these special teams players unless we play perfect on that side of the ball. I think that's ridiculous. And number 3, the last one, Mac has played at a plateau all year. I don't think he's played bad. I don't think he's played good. But it is starting to worry me that we're not seeing another year. I feel like we're seeing the same Mac again and again and again. And I just want to see him take that next step. And I want to know if maybe you guys think he has taken some kind of step forward or if he's just sort of at the same level. So,
all right.
Thanks, guys.
Three good points to touch on there, Alex. Deuce, you want to start with the linebackers?
3 real good points. I'll start with the linebackers. I think it's a great question. You know, and when they're winning and it's all going well, everybody's really happy about how smart they are and how tough they are, and they can beat up the Bills. And then, you know, a game like this happens where you can't really stop the best running back in the league, and they look slow and they miss tackles. And so I don't know what the answer is. I mean, I wish I could tell you. I mean, and I'm telling you this as somebody who's been, like, you know, passionately following the Patriots defense for like 14 years now, and waiting for the speed at linebacker and these things to, you know, take a new level. And, you know, when they brought Van Noy back, I was surprised. It just felt like, hey, are we going to Uche and this time, and we bring Collins back, and well, you know, Winovich or Ronnie Perkins, are these guys ever gonna? So these are all the kind of things going through my head as we talk about this here at 1:15 in the morning. But it's a great question for this offseason. Jamie Collins, Hightower, they're up. McCourty's up. I think they've got decisions to make, but I don't think any of these other guys that they've drafted are really ready to step into any of those roles. So
that's where I land on it, Mike, is I'm not sure that the young guys, I mean, they've been banged up. You know, Uche now, this is 2 years in a row. He's been banged up a little bit, and I know he's ready to come back and practicing and all that. Yeah, I mean, I think Van Noy has actually been better over the last few months. You know, so listen, it's tough after a night where you give up 200 yards rushing to say, no, I don't think the linebackers are a problem. I do think they missed Bentley tonight. He went out early, and I think that was a problem. I think missing him put Collins out there more probably than you want to have him out there.
Van Noy more in the middle
in a run-oriented game. You probably don't want as much Collins. I thought Collins competed well, though. He was involved in the interception. He got his hand on the pass. Almost had another interception. Made there's the almost pick. And I thought he was involved in a big tackle for a lot. I don't think the linebackers have been a disaster. Do I think that they need to get younger? Yeah, I do.
But I mean,
I just don't think that's going to happen.
Right,
this
and
year.
even if they bring Hightower and McCourty and everybody back next year, they've got a couple more years. These guys are in their mid-30s. Like it's going to come sooner or later.
On. Now, what was the second one?
Special teams, which has been this has been something that people have been harping on for years, and it's a valid point. If you are going to set aside money and have guys that are just there to play special teams, perfect is a lot to ask for, but it can't be what we saw tonight.
Well, I'll say this, and I say this every time I'm asked this question. I don't know the roster makeup of every team, and I don't know how many guys that play special teams for the other teams are strictly special teamers. If you're telling me the Patriots have more than other teams, then I would say their special teams should be significantly better than other teams. But I don't know that that's the case.
Okay. In terms of Mac, and that was the third point. I thought
he articulated a perfect point about
That's
Mac.
a very good question.
I'm not worried about it in the least. I'm not. But I think that he's been sort of.
Yeah.
I think that's a positive, though.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even say a plateau. I'd say it's been a season of ebbs and flows, and the high points. Yeah, he had a high point against the Jets. I think he had another one against Cleveland.
Yeah,
I think those are probably the two high points. But the Jets one, I know you only play who you play, but do you put that as high as you would against performances against some other teams? I
don't, but I don't take it away from him either.
Don't take it away from him.
I think he's been pretty consistent, and I think that's really good for a rookie quarterback. Rookie quarterbacks are usually wildly inconsistent. He hasn't been. I agree with the way he put it, though. Like, I'm not concerned about the plateau, but I do think he's sort of been like, I'm not expecting to see a huge jump this year.
I am not, because this is the point of the season where rookies tend to fall off regardless of position. This is longer than he is. I mean, duration wise, all right. Yes, they play into the new year, but it's with a 3-week break. This is more games than he's ever been accustomed to playing. And if anything, you actually see a drop-off in a lot of rookies the way they're playing in their first year, just because this season is so much different with the number of games. The schedule is different. So keep it in mind, though, that I feel the same way as Paul does. Deuce, I don't know about you. I'm not worried about Mac Jones at all, but I also don't I don't think you should be waiting for a great leap forward to still be happening this year.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think the delay of game today probably kind of an example, one of those like rookie moments where just losing track of the time of it all. But I do. I mean, I think we've talked a lot on PU just about Mac's ceiling and how do you judge him compared to other usual rookie quarterbacks? The point I made this week was that usually you got somebody like Justin Fields who has all the physical ability in the world. He just needs to catch up mentally to the game. And that's usually where you're at with a rookie quarterback. Mac's a little bit different. He came in. He has a grasp of the offense. He kind of knows what he's doing. And, you're wondering, all right, well, what does year 2 of somebody who understands it look like? What does it look like when they start really understanding it even more? And, add in, obviously, an NFL strength program and all the things that he'll get to do this offseason. So, but I'm not going to lie. Like, I definitely, have some concerns about just, how good he really can be. I think he does a number of things on a very plus level, better than you might have expected. But I think here at the end, if they're going to make the playoffs, if they're going to make some noise, he's going to have to. I don't know if just kind of keeping your hands at 10-2 is going to get it done.
Yeah. Kirk in Delaware says, I'm not upset with the decision to kick the field goal. I think it's a matter of how Bill views mistake-prone games. He just can't trust players to stop making mistakes in key situations, and he decided to play it safe. I think if they don't commit that penalty, they absolutely go for it on 4th.
Yeah. I mean, from the 2-yard line?
From the 2-yard line,
you probably run it twice.
But there is something to this where it's like, we talk about Bill kind of seeing how things are playing out and going with the feel of the game. I wouldn't put it past Bill to say, you know what, these guys can't get out of their own way tonight.
Right.
What am I going to why am I going to allow them to go for it from that much further out when they're just going to screw it up?
It is a good point. It's a good. And what's the emailer?
Kirk.
It is a good point, and I think of just as a comparison to that, Tampa Bay, the Tampa Bay game, the end of the game, Patriots are trailing by 2, 4th and 3 from the 40-yard line ish, maybe the 38, because it was a 56-yard field goal, right?
Yeah.
And I think Bill mentioned, and I'm not going to quote, and I'm paraphrasing the summation of what he said. I think they were 3 for 13 that night on 3rd down. Our offense wasn't. We weren't picking up 3rd downs. We weren't converting. Our offense wasn't converting, and I think that sort of illustrates what Kirk's point is. When things are going in a certain way, maybe you don't have as much confidence that it's going to just stop on this magical play. Like, we haven't been doing it all night. We haven't been converting all night, but this is the play we're going to convert. And I think that's why Bill decided to kick the field goal that night. It's because he didn't feel like the offense was playing all that well that night. He was right. And then tonight, I think that, desperate times call for desperate measures. You had a chance to get within a score, and you passed it up. And I think that's would have been changed in my philosophy. But Kirk may be right as to why. In other words, if it was, let's say it was 38 to 28 instead of 20-10 with that field goal. Maybe Bill thinks differently. We're moving the ball. We're scoring. We're in a shootout. It's our turn. We're going to get this.
Yeah.
No.
Sorry.
Kirk also says, I'm also glad the Patriots had some adversity before the postseason. I agree with Hardy. Would prefer the struggle early versus late. Yeah, I mean, all things being equal, if they were just playing, if they were playing great football and things were clicking on in all 3 phases and you're just picking up wins, great. If you're winning games like they have here recently, not in spite of Mac or in spite of the offense, but really without a lot of offensive contributions, no, I feel a reality check is in order.
Right. It's like a couple of weeks ago, I made a comment that, how many of the wins would they have had with Brian Hoyer playing quarterback? And I got a lot of pushback for that. And maybe the number isn't 9. Maybe it's not. Maybe there's a couple of wins that Mac got that someone else wouldn't have. But I think for the most part, most of their wins have been, we're going to run the ball, we're going to avoid mistakes, we're going to kick field goals, and we're going to play defense. Hasn't that been what most of the wins have been?
Yeah. The Brian Hoyer comp, it immediately brings up, his handling in the red zone against Kansas City.
Oh, by the way, when he found out he was playing 24 hours before the game.
I know, but
in the toughest venue in the league at the time.
It's what people automatically think of, so they are reluctant to.
Yeah, and
to
I'm
give
no
you
huge
that.
Brian Hoyer fan. Like, I think Brian Hoyer is an average at best backup. But the way the games have unfolded, I think if you had just, relatively mistake-free quarterback play, you've had a chance to win a lot of the games.
All right, we have 3 calls and 2 emails, all to get to here in the next 10 minutes. We're going to start with Ben in Maryland. Ben, go ahead. You're on the Patriots postgame show.
Hi, thank you. So, man, oh man, Patriots Twitter tonight was kind of crazy. Some people were saying, like, to fire Belichick and all this crazy stuff that pissed me off. But my question is, what do you guys think about, like, the play calling, especially in the red zone? Lots of first downs within, like, the 10-yard line, and we had to kick field goals. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Red zone.
I thought the Colts defense dominated the game.
Yeah.
I thought they dominated in the red zone. I thought they dominated out of the red zone and everywhere in between.
How about this email, Mark in Nova Scotia? How in the hell did the Patriots get bullied so much? Both lines, Deuce called this early on, manhandled and lost the game. They were getting blown back on every play. Just disgusting, especially the O-line.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got a lot of respect for the Colts offensive line, so I not as surprised, but yeah, it's just the speed, the aggressiveness with which it's just. I mean, we were watching the highlights. The Colts are flying around at 90 miles an hour, and the Patriots sometimes look like they're stuck in mud. It's just it was something right out of the gate. You could tell the energy that they brought to the game, and it's not what you've seen out of the Patriots when they've been on and ready to go.
Odd is in Boston. Thank you for joining us. Patriots postgame show. Hello, Odd.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
I had a couple of things. Just to start with, I guess, when's the last time you guys can remember a game this sloppy, I guess, just in terms of, like, I was thinking, I guess, maybe the Houston game, but I guess it's hard because we won that game, but just
no, Houston's
even
good.
last year,
Houston's good. I think Week 6 was filled with games like that. I mean, the first 6 weeks were filled with weeks like this. Lots of penalties, turnovers.
Yep.
It is their third blocked punch of the season. So the first 2 happened in the first 6 weeks. Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a while. It's that was the key to the 7-game winning streak. They cleaned that stuff up and didn't beat themselves. Tonight they beat themselves.
Yeah, and then I also was wondering, like, on the broadcast, if you guys could see Mac, like, did he look just, like, wrong to you guys? Like, he looked like he was, like, sick, like he got his booster shot yesterday or something.
Well, maybe he did. It's affecting some people more than others.
I look like that.
He looked in shock. He looked in shock after the picks.
They were all over him.
Yeah. He was under fire. Yeah. He was throwing picks.
Yeah. Welcome to the NFL.
Greg is in Rhode Island. Hello, Greg. Thanks for joining us. Patriots postgame show. What's up?
Hey, Greg. Hey, how's it going, y'all?
Good.
Hey, just real quick. I'm sorry. Paul, I listened to Patriots Unfiltered, and I heard a lot of the, like, we're going to blow out the Colts. I wrote in earlier, and I thought we were going to actually get blown out by the Colts. I thought it was going to be like 31-10, something like that. It didn't get so far off. I thought they were a decent team. I guess I'm just curious if you guys thought our game plan going into the game was just a little bit too conservative or too run-centric. I'm just curious because they're a good team. They're a decent team. I actually, I think they're very similar comp to the Patriots, but
very much so.
Better, probably better players, individual players at every positional group. They've got probably better individual players at every positional group trying to do the same thing the Patriots do. And I guess I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
I agree. I think they're mirror images. I think Mike and I were talking about that all week. But I just want to push back a little bit on the conservative start to the game. Like, they ran the ball on first down in the first play of the game. Then it was pass, 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 penalty, penalty. So now you got a pass. Now you had a run. Here's a call that I hated. 2nd and 19 run.
Hated it.
Okay, and then Mac is sacked.
Because they were like in midfield, weren't they?
It was 2nd and 19 from the Patriots 43.
Yeah.
And they ran. But they came out throwing.
Right. Move the ball.
They
start for the first few plays.
They didn't really move the ball, but they came out throwing it. They got a first down, and then they committed penalties. Like, that kills you. But I'm just saying, like, they ran for 4 yards on first down. Then it's a pass for 4 yards, and then a pass for 10 yards, first down. And then a pass attempt that Mac ends up scrambling for another first down. Right? So that's another pass. And then they pass again and commit a penalty, and now you're in long yardage situations. So
the penalties and sloppy play early on just absolutely killed us. But
absolutely.
I actually feel like it's weird because later in the game we had a lot of success throwing the ball a little bit more aggressively. Maybe that was just we were benefiting from the Colts changing their defensive philosophy.
Yes, they stopped blitzing. They sat back in a soft shell.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of that came in the fourth quarter when they were down 20-0.
Right. Hey, Greg, thanks for the call. We appreciate it. We'll step aside one more time here. Thank you to Bridgestone.
Another break?
Yeah. Just a quick one here. We got to do
tell you,
one.
the breaks just come in this show.
It barely feels like working, when you break 3 times over the course of 2 hours for 30 whole seconds. Bridgestone, the official tire of the New England Patriots, and is proudly sold at Sullivan Tire. Visit sullivantire.com for locations and offers.
Defending against cyber attacks requires seeing in the dark, understanding and ending every threat to your organization on computers, mobile, and the cloud. It takes cyber reason. End cyber attacks from endpoints to everywhere.
Football's back, and it's time to go big. Pepsi pulled pork sandwiches are game day greatness. Now we're ready for game day. Check out some more awesome recipes on madeforpatriotswatching.com.
An active lifestyle means you never stop moving. That's why only Theragun devices are designed to release your body's deepest muscle tension, so you can do the things you love. You only have one body. Make it a TheraBody.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
Hardy, wind is not something you can see on TV.
Try telling that to Deuce.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
It seems like a long time ago, the arguments about the wind in the Buffalo game with Deuce.
It wasn't that windy.
Well,
I just love taking the tiniest little things and making them like Deuce hates Brady, which isn't true at all.
Although
but I just love making them like a huge thing out of it.
And then Fred made the mistake of all time this week by accidentally muttering these words together. I don't think Mac Jones is that good. It was in relation to Brady.
Oh yeah.
But nope, I'm never going to let him forget it.
Sound clip by Matt Morrell.
Right.
Which I ordered. I ordered the code red.
Yeah. I would like to commission some audio production.
Correct. Speaking of which, did I get a fuppet?
No. I thought there was a good back and forth at the beginning of the show.
I actually had it in mind as I was talking.
Oh,
I was trying to go.
It's in your head.
I was trying to go a little bit into it, but.
And then James Stewart alerted me that it was going to be a best of for the week anyway, and I said, okay.
I don't think Mac's that good.
Wow. And that sounds
and it's
authentic.
It's totally out of context, too. It's the greatest thing ever.
Right, but it sounds genuine. It doesn't sound out of context.
I don't think Mac's that good.
Wow. Excellent drop. Well done all around.
The big boss, man. Not a believer.
It's like it's not like it was something like it's not like he's the next Brady. I don't think he's that good. I think that's what he said. I go, whoa. Yeah. You heard it.
Yeah.
Fred doesn't think Mac Jones is that good.
The inflection is right. Everything about it is right.
Yeah.
Yep. Tim in New Hampshire. Any long-term implications from what you saw during this loss? This is a good final question for the postgame. Personally, this makes me worry for the run defense, as we allowed a team to beat us with less than 15 pass attempts, and we went in attempting to stop the run. Started listening this season. Look forward to becoming a long-time listener. Thanks, Tim Rossi. Long-term, that's a good final question.
It's a worry. It's more of a concern than certainly going in.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but I also think this is who I thought this Patriots team was. I think that they are one of the B-level contenders in the AFC, and granted, they're just about all B-level contenders at this point. But you know, they have some flaws. They have issues, and the games need to go a certain way, and they certainly need to clean up the ball security and the penalties, and that's, you know, going back to the beginning of the season, we knew that. If they clean that up, they can beat anybody. If they don't, they can lose to anybody.
All right. Any other final thoughts on the game here tonight, Paulie Paul?
Just one of those stinkers that they didn't do anything really well in the game, and they happen. It happened at a bad time, but you get a chance to right the ship with a huge game. Huge game. I don't think you can get enough hype, for the Buffalo game. Assuming Buffalo takes care of business tomorrow against Carolina, that game next Sunday, the day after Christmas, will be enormous.
And I mean, not to jinx it, but I hope that we have fans and we're all there, and it goes without a hitch.
Pshaw. This will all magically go away.
Yeah.
Do not despair. The Patriots, I don't think reasonably. I was expecting them to run the table and rattle off 11 straight wins. If a loss was coming, good. Have it happen tonight. Get your head right. Get your bodies right. Get the attitude and the game plan right for Buffalo a week from tomorrow here at Gillette Stadium. Everything's going to be okay.
Okay.
AFC East champs, let's go.
It has been written.
Okay.
I'm tired.
Let it be written. Let it be done. Final score for the final time. Patriots 17.
Oh, we finally read it the right way. Oh, wait.
Indianapolis Colts 27. That's for you, Paul. Thank you for listening and watching.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.